This is the Venlo Zoo, a Dutch-inspired city zoo made in Planet Zoo. Over the last couple of years I've built in this zoo. Unfortunately, today it's coming to an end. Today we are flying through the zoo for the first and last time, because that's the first big tour we do, and unfortunately also the last one. I'll get to the reasons why. It's not quite finished, even though I have done the best to make it somewhat finished today. Fixed a couple of issues, and I'll be uploading this to the workshop for you guys as well to find out. So this zoo is heavily inspired by a region very close by where I live, the region of Venlo in the Netherlands, obviously. It's been my first ever big city zoo I've done, and the main purpose of the entire project was to build a modern approach on a city zoo where we have repurposed a lot of old habitats into new. I'll be talking about this very briefly while we fly through here. We've got a huge kind of modern entrance area which greets us with a couple of souvenir shops, fountains, a lot of areas to just gather together, find everyone you're looking for, and then take the zoo tour together. We've got a couple of facilities hidden in here, backstage stuff, access, some vending machines, and so on and so forth. This is made to just welcome the people, and usually this is also where the old entrance has been. Some of these buildings that are now repurposed into a facility used to be already cages. We are starting with a completely new building, and that is our desert house, featuring a couple of desert animals here at the entrance, a typical entrance animal with the meerkat and the aardvark. We also have a couple of Dutch buildings in the background. They have been provided by Sylv, who has been doing a Dutch project in Planet Zoo. But on the right-hand side of this desert house, we'll find the first old habitat turned into a new one. This used to be a bear habitat, heavily inspired by the Bärenzwinger in Berlin, but now it's a parrot habitat with the monkeys and some otters, some very easy stuff here. They can have a good time together. Smaller animals make the best out of this space. We also have a lot of facilities. As you can see, there's a nice restaurant in a Dutch architecture style. At the moment, no one is eating because I just reopened the zoo for the recording. We can see a brief look of the aviary. We'll get into the aviary in a bit. But first things first, we need to move into our desert house, which was my first big build, and the idea is that we got rid of some of the very old habitats that you couldn't turn into anything good, new, or whatever, and so we built this new desert house to feature some smaller desert animals. You can see some over here. We fly over here. There's like the cat in here. We also have another view inside of the meerkat habitat and the artworks from the inside, because being in Europe, they won't be outside the entire year, so in the winter times they need to move over. We also have another indoor section here for the bigger animals, such as the camels and some antelopes, but we also have the peccary pig over here. It seems like it's all one big habitat, but they are separated very cleverly, so that is a little thing. We fly over now outside on the other side. We are just greeting very briefly on the Shifaka, I believe, is in here, and we quickly go below ground just because we can, I guess. I didn't fly through the entire tour a couple times, so whatever. We come to one of my favorite habitats. This is a penguin habitat, and this African penguin habitat used to be an old one. Only the left-hand side of this habitat, as you can see, is the old one, and it has been reopened into a much bigger version. You can see they also, in the usage of rocks and stuff, the right-hand side is much more modern. There's even that little opening you can see, a lot more better. And then we also have a brand new animal, well, not brand new, but one of the latest packs. The ocelot has this wonderful tower where it can go nicely vertically, but it also has an outside area. And as mentioned before, this is the Cockerel's Shifak in here. It's got a very big one, actually. It's a super huge habitat for those little fellas over here. It's tightly packed next to our reptile house, which is another very nice building, repurposed from something in the past where you had maybe some big cats in here, but now it's turned into a reptile house. We have a couple of tortoises in here. We've got the what is that even? I forgot which you can see a couple maybe in here. Some lizards are in here as well. in the water, some monitors, as you can see. I think that's the Asian monitor living in that. I forgot which one is in which cage exactly. But we also have a couple of exhibits with iguanas and some spiders. No, that doesn't fit in the reptile house. I think some iguanas are in these ones over here. And maybe we can get a glimpse of the other one there. You can see there is another monitor in here. Oh no, actually that's the caiman. Very nice small little animal. Having a good time in here. But we're flying out of this one and have a look on the opposite side of the road. There is another one. Here we have some monkeys, you know, making sure that they also get their space, you know. I like this quite here. That's a nice little area. That tree has a nice face and an arm shows into the directions. And then we move over into some modded stuff because at some point I thought, you know, one nice idea was to bring in a dolphin kind of sanctuary, and the idea about that one is that's the old kind of safari area where this is also the old giraffe house turned into a dolphin house. And the idea is that in Europe you used to have a couple of dolphin areas where, you know, the habitats are not as nice anymore. I mean, what's even nice for a dolphin? But that one is to house all the dolphins that can't be held in these tiny spaces anymore. So we're giving them a last sanctuary. And as soon, you know, as they're passing away, we don't do any breeding anymore. That's the basic idea. We have this house here to just get the animals from all over Europe to give them a bit of a better space at least. So moving over to a couple of other aquatic animals, we have the penguins over here. They get a whole house on left and right hand side. You get a bit of an outdoor area, but the main thing is the indoor area with a very nice steel front to maintain a bit of heat and cool inside. And then we also have a semi-aquatic dome where we have some beavers and some other fellows over here that enjoy a lot of water. We have this central little area where you can go in and see them all diving. I think there's also like the platypus living in here, as well as the beaver, and I might think there's also a giant otter in here. I forgot. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Oh, and if you noticed a cut right now, this is exactly the problem why this project is gonna end, but I'll talk about more later. Let's first of all continue our way out of the wonderful semi-aquatic house where we see some platypus enjoying their time down there. We are heading over to one of the latest installments in the series with the latest DLC. That is a pygmy elephant. I want to call it Sanctuary because it's relatively big. It's super modern, kind of open, spacious, and a bit of the backstory was that we are taking some of the parking lots and turn that into a habitat because, you know, in the past used to be all more car focused, but especially the Netherlands have been very good at refocusing on bike infrastructure and so on. It's also kind of a almost like social accepted behavior, and that is why it totally makes sense to kind of reclaim some of the parking lots and turn them into the zoo, which also has in its middle, basically in the middle of the viewing area, we have a tiny little skunk habitat. You can see they roam around here free, and then we make our way to a viewing point on top where you can see all the elephants. And that modern building in the background, it used to be the parking house, like the park house kind of thing. However, completely repurposed into something brand new. Now we're heading over, and hopefully the game does not crash on us because that is the area where it all ended. But, you know, it's been the last habitat I did is this chimpanzee area over here. I'm super proud of it. It looks super nice. It's very nicely filled in into the gaps. But the real issue is on the left-hand side here. That is our coral reef. Very crowded because it is amazing. You can see all the fish in here. But the problem are not the mods. The problem is the usage of coral pieces. I cannot touch it. The second I do go into this area and touch anything, the game is going to freeze. The computer is going to freeze, despite my NASA computer is gonna be horrible. So my solution to that is, well, I tried a lot of things, but there is no solution to that, which is very sad indeed, but I cannot do anything about this. So I had to end it over here. But there are good reasons for that, and I think, you know, this project had its highs. We are at a point where I have started something new, by the way. Next week, or even this weekend, you'll see it pop up. I've already recorded a couple episodes to be sure that this one is going. But anyways, we have two habitats left. On the left-hand side, you can see the Sumatran orangutan, another little mod I'm using here. It's a very modern habitat, again, something repurposed that could have been used previously for some backstage stuff or some other things. And that was also where I had the sponsoring of this wonderful, lovely chair, recliner chair. It's still amazing to me, that thing. It's just brilliant. Rewatch this episode. It's super cool, and you see the sponsoring. So good. But then we fly through now it is the Amur leopard habitat, but it should be, I think it was also the Sumatran tiger that I had here as a mod, but I took it out and replaced it with the Amur leopard, which is a little bit shy right now. It's not roaming around, a sad thing. But this used to be the polar bear habitat and the seal habitat that has both been connected into one bigger area for the Amur leopard. And then we go into our aviary, which used to be the aviary, used to be just that house in the middle, but we opened everything up into this way bigger space where the animals can roam around free and nicely. And well, you can see something, yeah, you can see some walking around the ground. They do fly using some of the enrichment items. Maybe we are lucky to see someone doing it. Well, if not, you know, I'm gonna put the supercut in very soon, so you guys should be able to see it. We are flying through here, just making our way now into the house, through the wall, why not? But yeah, so through a little airlock and then all the way out of this one into, well, the end of today's overview. It is a relatively short one because it took me still 6 or 7 attempts until I was able to give you this little overview, which is very sad to say the least. But that's been it. That's been Venlo Zoo. You can download it from the workshop. If you want to, you can have a look yourself, or you wait for the supercut, or you just watch the playlist again, however you like. It's been a pleasure. This was a super nice project. I loved every bit of it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it too, but fear not, there's a new project coming very soon, and I'm very curious to show you. It's gonna be completely different, but I'm very happy to show you, and you know, it's gonna solve the issue of performance by just stepping out of this project. Hopefully you enjoyed it, guys. Make sure you have a good time. Thank you so much for your ongoing support, and hopefully you don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, because there's more to come. Also of other games, Jurassic World Evolution 3 soon, and some very cool exclusive stuff. Can't wait to show you. Have a nice one. Thank you so much, and bye.